Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here on Bases Loaded. It's just Brandon and Chris here today. Blake had to be a family man, so sometimes that gets in the way. So we'll try not to trash the Astros too hard for you, Blake. We'll do our best. But Chris, the Padres decided to finally go on a winning streak. It only took them 140 games to get it all figured out. You posted something in our group chat that they got their first one-run win since like July the other day.
Yeah, yeah. They got their first walk off, I think, since April. They still have been winning extra inning games. I guess that's the next hurdle to cross. But no, man, they've won seven. They've won their last seven games. They're 8-2 in their last 10. And they've done what I didn't think was possible. Is they have me looking at the standings on September 21st, which a week ago I would have said, nah, it's done. But it's it's interesting because obviously, they're chasing a lot of teams, so a lot would need to roll in their favor. So it's highly unlikely they make the playoffs, but just to put themselves in this situation so late in the season, you think I'd be excited, but I'm just legitimately upset. Like it's one of those cliche, where was this all year? It's like especially so many of those early games we sat there and we watched one-run losses, extra inning losses, just not clutch hitting that cost them so many games. If even five of those flip, this scenario is completely different right now. So it's definitely a weird feeling watching these last 10 games of the year.
Yeah. Because so right now, San Diego is 75 and 78. And I think
They
I
might get to
messaged this.
500.
So I think I messaged this to you. Even if they go undefeated, 84 wins, I don't know even if that's enough. It might be to vault the Giants because the Giants are in a free fall, right? Like Giants just can't score, which is what they've been all year.
Well,
Like
and not only
they
not
don't
only
have the
can they
offense.
not score, but look at how their season's ending. They've got four in LA, three against the Padres, and then three against the Dodgers. So it's like the Giants are going to have a very interesting last week of the season. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Diamondbacks just took two from them, and I'm like, they're pretty much done. Because they're 3 games back of Chicago for that final spot. It's like I think, to be honest, if the Padres somehow sneak it in, they could be so dangerous because they'll be one of the hottest teams in baseball. Because
Yeah,
I think
I
one more loss and it's over. Like any more losses, I think it's like 84
well,
wins is going to be the bare minimum.
looking at yesterday, if the Padres, if they go 9-0 to end the season, the Marlins would need to go 5-5 or worse. The Giants would need to go 8-2 or worse, which is, like we said, probably more likely. The Cubs need to go 4-7, but they're losing tonight, so they're taking care of one of those right now. And then the Reds, they're worse than 5-3. Like, but obviously that's if they go 9-0, which it's baseball. It's we've seen it before, obviously, and I know I joked about it with I think it was the 2007 Rocktober Rockies where they went on that run where
You
they just
keep tweeting
and
that out, by the way, and it makes me laugh.
I it's a very fun bit. But I mean, honestly, like we've seen it happen before, but just it's what a weird season here, and if it somehow ended with the playoffs, I give up. Like I don't get baseball. I don't understand baseball.
I like something changed in that clubhouse and on that team. Like something changed in the last week because it doesn't make sense that they're like, oh, now we decide that we want to go on a winning streak. Like it was so crazy to me that they didn't win 4 in a row to like game like 142, which to me was like, how does that make any sense with the literally the top four in that lineup? Like you would have think, oh, they would have had that like week 2 of the season. But no, like
Yeah,
they kept going, like winning 3, losing 2. Like they kept basically not gaining any ground. They're starting to gain ground, but they have to vault 4 teams. They have to vault San Francisco, Cincinnati, Miami, and Chicago. Chicago's been struggling the last couple of weeks. Cincinnati's just too young. Like
yeah.
like Cincinnati, I think it's just maybe 1 year too early. They have a lot of young guys that in a couple of years, I think Cincinnati will definitely probably threaten for the NL Central. Um, and they don't have that big time starting pitcher that I feel like probably they know he goes on the mound and they'll be set.
Yeah.
Um, Cubs have that with Justin Steele.
Well,
Padres have that with Blake Snell, who I don't. If you look at numbers wise, he he barely pitches in the seventh. I saw a graphic last night. He's literally only thrown to like 7 guys in the seventh inning all year. And then there was another graphic with like other guys were like 40, 50, 60. But
yeah,
he doesn't give up runs. That's his job. His
it's
job is to
amazing.
not give up runs. Like it's not gonna be the most pretty Cy Young because I don't see anyone else wins it.
Yeah,
Gallen has
I think.
struggled his last four
Well,
or
I
five
think
starts.
Steele probably lost at his last 2 starts, but having the
Yeah,
opportunity to be at the park on Tuesday and watch Snell, it's something. I mean, he retired the first 5 guys he retired all went down by strikeout. He walked 2 guys in between that, but it's just like he has this ability to like he would rather put a guy on and not give him pitches to hit because he knows he can go after another guy. Like it's really fascinating, and you can talk about, yeah, he doesn't go deep into games, but it's like he's consistent. And would you rather take somebody that's 5 or 6 and going to give up 1, maybe 2 runs in a start, or would you rather take someone that's going to go 7 and 8 and might give up a bunch of runs from time to time? Like, I'm going to take that consistency every time.
yeah. It's weird because like April and May, he wasn't that good. Like if you look at it as of June 1st, he is
Ever.
without a doubt with, and it happens every year. I don't understand it. Um, like I there to me, like I thought there was a discussion at the beginning of September. Thought it was still a wide open race. Gallen has struggled his last 4 or 5 starts. Steele has struggled his last couple of starts.
Yeah.
Blake Snell's been consistent. Like what he did the other night when he literally didn't give up a hit. We almost got a combined no hitter, and the
Well,
Padres almost lost the game, which to me was
that
such a
it felt very
Padres thing to do. It was such a
very San
Padres thing
Diego.
to do.
It felt very San Diego. But I would say, yes, he had this great start against Colorado, but his start before that was another fantastic outing against the Dodgers. And I think that's what
Yeah,
might have sealed it for him at that point because, taking on that lineup, like the Rockies, they're the Rockies right now. It's like there's a couple bats in that lineup, but overall, it's not as good of a team as someone like the Dodgers that are putting up to the plate constantly. And he had a fantastic outing in that game. So, yeah, I mean, coming down the stretch, like Blake is putting more money on that contract each start right now, and it's going to be fascinating if this man wins the NL Cy Young, just what kind of money he's going to get here in the offseason.
he's not going back to San Diego probably.
I mean, he
And we've been
likes it,
saying
but
this.
my prediction's Seattle.
Yeah, and like I'm on
Fine
board
leg.
on that, but I've seen a lot of like every like once a week, Major League Baseball law will tweet out um who is the NL Cy Young, and you'll see so many comments: future Yankee, future Philly.
He likes the West Coast.
Yeah, I'm like he's a West Coast guy. I think Seattle, like Seattle, just to me
It's
makes the
home.
most sense.
It's home. They've got a decent squad that he can go in there and really help bolster that rotation and really push them into the next echelon. Like I think it's a no brainer, honestly. Like obviously, I hope he stays in San Diego and something can be worked out, but I mean, we don't even know what's going to happen here in the offseason with all the stories that have come out with the Athletic talking about Preller and all of that fun stuff to the clubhouse culture with AC. Like it's going to be an interesting offseason here in San Diego. So those pieces might not fall in time, and Blake might say, you guys, I'm going to Seattle, and I wouldn't blame him. So
Base. He's like, see y'all later. So, like this NL wild card though is so Like, I've been literally scoreboard watching for the last, like, 2 or 3 weeks every day. I'm like, "All right, what are the Marlins doing? What are the Cubs doing? What are the Reds doing?"
I started
Like,
Monday night when we finally won 4 in a row.
when
So I
we
was like,
finally
"Okay,
won 4 in a row.
I'm gonna start peeking at those scores again." Because I mean, yeah, it's been fascinating. It's one of my favorite things about the wild card and for all the negativity that it gets, adding these extra spots, it's giving us some very intriguing baseball down the stretch, not only in the National League, but obviously in the American League with such a close race there between. I mean, now it's just 4 teams, so, one team's gonna be out, but it's fun. It makes it really cool to be able to, like, turn on MLB Network or, "Oh, what game's on right now? Let me check it out because 'cause it's got these implications," and, yeah, starting to feel those playoff vibes.
Yeah. Like, Diamondbacks, like, for I think it was about mid-August, like, Diamondbacks were playing their worst. I think they were 2.5, 3 games out, even the
Yeah.
final wild card, and I'm like, "Alright, maybe they kinda hit their wall, they still got a lot of young guys," but
I mean,
Tommy Pham,
credit
I'm
to that team,
I'm
yeah.
s dude, Tommy Pham, like, he struggled. His first 2 and a
Yeah.
half weeks, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. It just took time to adjust to a new team, but he's been amazing on and even in the clubhouse. Like, a huge thing. Did you see the little quote that came out today?
About the Mets?
Basically, yeah, about trashing the Mets, basically saying, "You guys don't try hard.
Yeah.
Like, you guys just."
Yeah, no, Tommy Pham's got this bad rap around the league, and obviously there's been off the field issues, there's been out of game on the field issues with Jock Peterson. But like, say what you will about that dude, but he is a gamer. When he was here, his hand was destroyed, and he was doing everything he can to play through just immense pain. Like, the dude cares about teams that he is on. Like, you can say whatever you want about him, but he will be in that bunker with you. He will battle with you, and he will do everything he can to help win. And that's all you really want out of a player, somebody that's going
Yep.
to be there, and he's going to do everything he can to help the team.
Yeah, like, when they made that move, I'm like, "Tommy Pham, really?" Like, it didn't really move the needle for me, and then the first
Yeah.
couple weeks, he just like, it looked like he wasn't playing well. It just took him a while to adjust. Dude, the last month, he's been on a tear.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited to watch him play. He's in a great spot. He's in that number 3 hole, which they've really needed. They tried Carroll there for a bit. It just didn't work. They tried Marte there for a bit. That really didn't work. But as soon as they got Fam there and they settled him in, that top 4 got settled in. It's Carroll, Marte, and they kind of flip flop them. Fam and Christian Walker, who is probably going to win Gold Glove at first base again. He is. I don't know how people underrate him.
Yeah.
The only reason they do is because you got guys in the National League like Goldschmidt, Freeman, and Olson. But Walker is still I think a dominant first baseman. He just plays in a league where there's 3 other guys that are more well known.
Yeah.
So, and I want to make the playoffs. I didn't have that expectation this year. I didn't. I was thinking 70, 75 wins
Yeah.
because we got a lot of young guys. So I'm hoping we do well. And then just Corbin Carroll. Oh my God, Corbin freaking Carroll. First rookie to ever to hit 25 homers and 50 stolen bases. All
What a
you
phenomenal
Ellie
year.
De La Cruz fans, y'all thought that he was going to take that rookie of the year from Corbin because he had a hot 2 weeks. What has Ellie done at all lately? I don't see any highlights from him anymore.
It definitely doesn't help when your team is struggling as well, and you're not being able to produce around them. But yeah,
Yep.
man, complete credit to not only Corbin Carroll for the season he's had, but the Arizona Diamondbacks as a whole. Like, we joked a lot about, like, a potential collapse, like, earlier in the season, but they got through that. They powered through it. They're back in a great position right now, and I think they're going to be one of the 3 wild card teams when the season's done.
Yeah, I think they'll get one of the 3. T If they don't get 1, I kinda want them to get 3 so that they play the Brewers. I'd rather play the Brewers than the Phillies,
Yeah, I
but,
mean,
like,
like we remember last year. No one wants to play the Phillies in October.
it's just they have 2 solid starting pitchers there with Wheeler and Nola, and in a 3-game series, that could be it. Like, they both could be on their A game on back-to-back nights, but Diamondbacks have that too in Gallen and Merrill Kelly.
Remember, everyone's 0-0 when the playoffs start. Everyone's
Yeah.
0-0. Whatever happened in the regular season doesn't matter. It's those October moments. But I really am looking forward to the Diamondbacks taking 2 of 3 in the last series of the season, and Houston missing out on the division title by a half game.
Yeah, because it's gonna be the Diamondbacks that caused them to not win that, division title. Dude, I'm gonna be such a jerk to Blake that final weekend, but he also could be a jerk to me if he's the reason why we don't
I
make it
mean,
in because
it's going to be that series is going to be huge, especially if both teams are sitting basically where they are right now, where they both need wins. Like, it's going to be must see TV. Like, I'll definitely be in there, and I'll be poking Blake with you. So
so we play 3 against the, Yankees this weekend, then we play at the White Sox, and then we finish at home against the Astros. So, to be honest, with the 6 against the Yankees and the White Sox, if Diamondbacks go 4-2, dude, I would feel so great because we'd be at like
yeah, it
85
could put you in a
wins.
really good
And
spot.
I was like, for me, it was always 86 wins. I felt like was enough for a wild card. I I thought 84 could do it, but I'd feel a whole lot better at like 86. Like I feel like 86 wins. I mean, it'd be great if we swept the 6 between the Yankees and the White Sox. That would put me in such a great spot. Because then we'd be on a 11-game win streak. If you look at our run differential, it's minus 16. Like so many people's like
That's
were
amazing.
like is like someone pointed out that the fact that either the Diamondbacks, the Cubs, or the Reds might make a wild card with such a terrible run differential is bad for baseball. I'm like, that number is so misleading. Take the Padres,
I
for
mean,
example. They're plus 82.
I hate to say it, but I was going to be like, there's only one team that has like a large positive run differential that's not like in a playoff spot right now, and it's the Padres. Everyone else is basically in a playoff spot.
That's why I think that stat doesn't really like it's very misleading because we've seen it before. Like Padres will have games where they win like 10-2, and then they have like 2 or 3 games in a row where they score 2 or 3 runs. So it just
Yeah,
means that over the course of the year they scored more. It doesn't mean they did it consistently.
I mean, we all know that to be true.
So, but San Diego's on a 7-game win streak. There is what 6? No, 9 games left.
9 games
Yeah,
left, yes, sir.
nine
It
games
is.
left.
We start 3 against St. Louis at home tomorrow, and St. Louis has not been great recently, so I feel like we're catching them at a good time. Then we fly to San Francisco. So
Ooh,
we'll be at the Giants for 3 games, then an off day, and then we end in Chicago against the White Sox. So, I mean, those last 6 games, if you look at them and just, I mean, really the last 9 games, they're all theoretically winnable because it's not like they're playing teams like the Giants have something to play for, but like we talked about, they're just in a blender right now. And I think if I see them getting swept by the Dodgers this weekend, and if that happens, I think they're deflated at that point. You just pounce on them, but who knows, man? Who knows? I
there's
want to
still
believe, but I'm also just like I know better. I'm a San Diegan. I know better.
there's still so much important baseball left. Like both wild cards are still up in the air. I mean, besides the first spot in the AL, which is going to belong to either Tampa or Baltimore. First of all, the AL East is still up for grabs. We don't know who's going to win it. That's what's crazy to me. is that we're gonna have what we had. What was that? 21, potentially two 100-win teams in the same division, and one of them's gonna be in the wild card.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
Like,
I mean, yeah, this weekend, man, such good games. I mean, we've got Tampa, Toronto. That's going to be a
yeah.
huge series, obviously, and I mean, Dodgers, Giants, obviously, as I stated, and then we've got Mariners, Rangers. So it's like there's some huge, tasty series this weekend.
Houston, you have to sweep against Kansas City. You
They can't lose
cannot
a
lose.
game. I agree, and I mean they struggled as of late, and I'm sure Blake will make excuses for it, but they definitely have struggled as of late, and they had a chance to put this division away, and they did not. And now they're after this Royals series, like they're gonna have to earn it. So it's gonna be really interesting. I mean, this team, consistently year in and year out has been one of the best teams in baseball. So them having to actually play for something the last week of the season. When was the last time they probably had to do that? Honestly,
Yeah.
because they've locked up the
So
division earlier, way before. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens right here.
yeah, AL East, Baltimore has a 2-game lead with, like we said, about 9 to go. The AL West, this is crazy. All three of them are separated by a half a game.
It's
Half a
awesome. I
game.
mean, it's what you want in a baseball season, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just gonna be crazy that one of those teams may not make it. Like, to be honest, I would rather one of those teams make it over Toronto, personally. Because I enjoy watching Houston, Seattle, and Texas more than Toronto. But we'll have to see. Um, like, that Tampa Toronto series is gonna be massive. Because here's the teams that I feel like destiny is in their own hands. Everyone in the AL West, you beat who you're supposed to beat, you're gonna get in.
I mean, you play each other, so yeah.
So I think that helps. I feel like Toronto, if they beat who they're supposed to, I think they have a shot there in the American League, and then in the National League, Diamondbacks and Phillies. I think you beat
I
because I
mean,
think
I think the Phillies are in at this point. I think I can say with
yeah,
confidence
yeah.
the Phillies are in.
I think Phillies are in now. Whether they're that one wild card or the 2 wild card, is just gonna depend on that. Because I think Arizona has a lot easier schedule. The only hard one I feel like is that last 3
Is
against
the end,
Houston.
yeah. I mean, don't
Uh,
sleep on the. I know you're sitting there talking like the Yankees are like a pushover, but like that's a team that has a lot
the
of talent on it that I'm
the only
sure will.
reason is because of what the pitching matchups are. It's Luke Weaver, Carlos Rodon, and Clark Schmidt. That's the
It's
only
at a
reason
Little
I
League
say that.
stadium, though. Remember that changes things.
That Little League Stadium. To be honest, if I'm a Cubs fan, I'd be worried because they've been very cold the last 2.5 weeks. Diamondbacks took
Yeah,
6 out of 7 from them in the span of a week.
yeah,
That's why we
they
are
they
where
just
we
gave
are.
up 3 runs in the top of the ninth too, so they're down 8-4 to the Pirates. But I mean, I feel like this weekend for the Cubs is their season because they've got 3 at home against the Rockies, a team that Padres just handled, a team that's struggling down the stretch. They need those games because after that they're on the road. They go to Atlanta and they go to Milwaukee, so they're going to 2 division winners. So I mean, I feel like they have everything to play for this weekend. They have to sweep Colorado. I feel like.
I'm a little bit disappointed in the Braves, the fact that they got swept by the Marlins last week. I'm like, Braves, I need you to do your job. So I was a little bummed out about that. But as long as the Diamondbacks, I feel, take 4 out of the 6 between the Yankees and the White Sox, I feel like they're in. Now, I don't know if there would be the 2 or the 3 at that point, but I feel like it's not all guaranteed, but you win 4 out of those 6. First of all, you should sweep the White Sox.
I mean, they're
Like,
not going to lose every game down the stretch, right?
I don't know. I do with this team, I don't know. It's weird. All year we've had three struggles. Either our offense isn't hitting, our bullpen is just a trash mess, and our starting pitching struggles. When our offense does well, our starting pitching's not doing good. When our starting pitching's doing good, our offense isn't it. To be honest, what's been the most consistent for us the last 6 weeks is our bullpen. I never thought I would say that. For the
Yeah, which is
longest
crazy.
time,
I know the struggles and I know how much you just hated them all year. So to hear that is wow.
to be honest, getting Paul Sewald from Seattle solidified that
Yeah.
because he was the closer and everyone had a role once he got there. But before that, you didn't know who was closing each night. And I think that uncertainty for a lot of those guys was a big thing. Since they brought in Sewald, they know who the eighth and ninth inning is. As long as they haven't pitched a lot lately, it's Ginkel, then Sewald. Sewald, every single save opportunity though it makes me sweat.
Yeah.
It's not simple, but he gets the job done. And I'm like, can you not do this? Can we have like a relaxing night? Nope. Like he'll throw like 15, 20 pitches, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You got the job done. It didn't make me feel great. Just watching, like, ugh.
I mean, Seattle got rid of him for a reason, right?
To be honest, what they got in a return, Rojas,
That was a
and
big move for them.
yeah, Rojas. Some guys they just need to change the scenery.
Yeah.
And I think Rojas has played very, very well for them. We're just gonna have to wait. Like, to be honest, the thing that I want to know, the AL West, I'm like all in, all focused on that right now. Like,
Yeah.
because of it's gonna change day to day. Whoever goes cold for one series, it's over.
Yeah,
Because
I think Blake's going to be rooting for somebody to win the series 2-1, and hopefully they can sweep Kansas. They can sweep the Royals because that is the best case scenario. They don't want one of those teams sweeping because they're not going to get any ground. So it's like going 2-1 against it is the ideal situation there.
yeah, so hopefully it's going to be so exciting to watch. So yeah, Diamondbacks face former D-back Luke Weaver tomorrow. Two things are going to happen. Either Weaver's going to give up 7 runs through 3 innings, or he's going to throw a shutout through 6. There's going to be no in between. He's going to look dominant, or he's going to look like trash. And I can't stand it. Like there's just no in between there.
Yeah.
No in between. And it's so frustrating. You're like, why do you got to be like just absolutes, either really, really good or really, really bad? You can't be just average, like not good, but not bad. So, but no, I'm going to continue to watch every single Padres game like I have all year.
That makes one of us.
Well, I know that there was, I think, like a
I
period.
followed along, but I was just like, my health doesn't need this.
You're like, I'm not watching. You're like, I'd rather go play golf. That doesn't cause me anxiety with this team. Is there any way Bob is back next year? Even if they make the playoffs, do you think he's back?
I would like to hope he's back, but I don't think he stays if Preller stays. And I mean, I'm hoping that piece that the Athletic put out this week maybe wakes Seidler up into seeing that Preller is not the guy to lead this organization. Because if he pushes Bob Melvin out, who do you bring in? Like, how do you replace a guy like Bob Melvin? And yeah, there's been people that have been questioning some of his bullpen moves throughout the year, whatever. But he has been handcuffed all year by AJ Preller. Like, this is just known. So it's like, if I'm Bob, I don't want to deal with this crap. I'm not going to deal with it for another year. If he's going to stay, he'll probably leave. But I feel like it's one or the other situation, and I unfortunately think that Bob would be the odd man out in this situation, which is not fair to him. It's not fair to the fans, not fair to the team.
Yeah, like he's trying to do his best, but as we've seen with Preller, I don't know if he's a good general manager. he has an eye for talent, but maybe he shouldn't be the general manager of a major league team. But
President too, but yeah.
like you said, he's very close with the owner, so I don't know. I if push came to shove, you get it's one or the other. He'd probably let go of Melvin. I just don't know who you bring in to handle those egos.
Do you bring in what he had before that? A yes man that he can control, that he can hand the lineup to and say, "This is your lineup today," and they'll say, "Yes, sir, please some more." Like that's what AJ Preller wants, and that's not what Bob Melvin is. So
I mean, it would probably cost him less.
he'd still have to pay his contract, so it would definitely be less though.
I just don't know who would you bring in. Like, it would definitely be like you said, probably a somewhat newer manager, who's just wanting to get his shot, and yeah, is willing to agree to everything that AJ says.
I don't like this conversation. I just want Bob to stay.
That you do. It's so weird. Like Padres Twitter was all like, "It's Melvin's fault as to why the Padres were playing bad." I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it was yeah. There's some people that for some reason will defend AJ Preller to the end for some reason beyond me. I don't know if he like said hi to them once and they got excited or what, but like you look at his history since he's been in San Diego, we've had basically one full winning season, and it's just been a lot like the collapse in 2021, the bringing everybody in when it came to like Hosmer, Kemp, all of that period, and just like seeing the downfall and then having to rebuild it again. Like
It does.
he's destroyed the farm system where yes, there are prospects there, but one thing we saw this year that was a huge impact on this team was starting pitching. And once guys went down or once we lost middle bullpen guys, there was nobody there to fill the holes. And that's something that's a glaring issue. If you don't have those pieces ready to go, what are we doing?
That would be the biggest if they somehow. Problem is, if they somehow sneak their way in, that's gonna be like, oh, look what AJ did, type of thing. But
Exactly.
no,
I'm scared that this winning streak is doing that. Like
that the owner was like, okay, it's starting to work. It took a little bit longer. Maybe let's give AJ another year.
9 years is long enough. I've seen everything I need to see.
Yeah, like you said, he tries the same things. Like there was the year, what they got Kemp, Upton, what was that, Middlebrooks?
Myers. Well, Middlebrooks was like a piece, yeah. But Myers, Kimbrel, they made all these moves and it didn't work out, and then basically just tried to flip it again. And I mean, he got. I mean, yes, he saw what Fernando Tatis is, and overall, you can consider he's gotten lucky. But I mean, Fernando hasn't played a lot consistently, so it's one of those things where yes, obviously he's a generational talent, but we still need to see him like actually put in work in a full 162 game season.
Yeah, and according to Padres Twitter, Juan Soto's had a down year. You can't have a down year hitting 30 homers and 100 RBI. That's
You,
not
you,
possible.
you know it's crazy that this is a down year for Juan Soto, but
No, it's not. You can't.
No, I'm not saying it was a bad year. I'm just saying by Juan Soto standards, it wasn't a great year. It was a good year. It wasn't a great year.
Any team would take their
I
number
mean, any
three
team would,
hitter
yes.
having an OPS over 900. I mean, it's because of his walks, though. like his average isn't like that high, which is probably what he's probably like. I think he's what in like the high 250s, low 260s.
Yeah, I think
But yeah.
Xander leads the team with the 286 average right now.
So speaking of Xander, he's been hot the last 2 weeks.
He was hot to start the season. He's hot to end the season. So I mean, it's just that middle part. I guess we need to figure out. But yeah, no, he's been an absolute monster the last like couple weeks. So it's been
Did
fun to
his
watch,
wrist
man.
finally? Like I think his wrist finally healed.
Yeah, I think it's finally in a place where he's a lot more comfortable and feels better, and And I don't know what to say about this team. Like they're just, like we watch baseball and we think we know something about the sport, and then we watch a team like this and watch what they've done on the field, look at the stats, look at everything, and go, how are they so far out of a playoff spot? Like it just,
To
I don't
be
know.
honest, if they went like just half in terms of their one run and extra innings, you'd be fine. You'd be in a playoff spot right now,
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah.
without a doubt. And it just sucks. It just sucks because that team is so talented, and they probably have the most underrated player in all of Major League Baseball, and then Ha-Seong Kim.
Sweet Prince. I love him.
Um, if he doesn't win the second base Gold Glove, he has to win the one for the utility.
I think he played enough at second to qualify for it. I hope, but yeah, there needs to be a Gold Glove next to his name this season because he's been absolutely fantastic in the field. I mean, he is the best shortstop we have on the roster right now.
So yeah, hopefully by next week we'll have a more clear understanding of these playoff races, or we're going to be exactly where we are right now, where wild card you have like 3 teams within a half game, and the AL West you'll have all 3 within a half game, and then that final series between the D-backs and Astros, I'm going to be so stressed because literally every at bat's going to be huge.
Yeah, it's going to be important. But before we go, come on, we've got what? Like we've got 10 games or whatever. We might as well just have some fun with it. Give me your AL East champion, your AL West champion, the 3 playoff teams and both wild card.
So I'm going to go Baltimore, Houston, Minnesota, and then Tampa, Seattle, and Texas.
Okay.
What's yours in the AL?
I'm gonna go Baltimore. I'm gonna go Minnesota. Sorry, Blake. I'm gonna go Seattle. and then for the 3 wild card teams, I'm gonna go Tampa, Toronto, and Houston. So Texas misses out on my side.
All right. National League, Atlanta, Milwaukee, LA. I'm going to go Philly, Arizona, and Miami.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not even going to talk because the divisions are basically wrapped up in the NL, so I don't need to go over those. But exact same you said, but it's going to be Philly, it's going to be Arizona, and I mean, I look at the games that are left, and I look at the records, and I do think Miami has a better chance of making it than Chicago. But yeah, I can't say Padres. There's no way. As a logical human being, there's no way I could.
To be honest,
love to see it, but
if
I don't
at
know.
this point next week they haven't lost a game, they're going to probably be at 80, 81 wins. It's going to be, I'm going to be like, okay, maybe this is possible.
And I mean, them going, because I mean, you figure at this point, regardless of what happens, if they went out and sneak into the playoffs, they're going to be in that final spot. So they're going to play Milwaukee. And I just think of the scenes of this Josh Hader that's just been a shell of himself, like the second half of the season, because he's barely pitched, like going in and putting in like clutch innings in Milwaukee against the Brewers, and it makes me laugh.
Yeah, this is gonna be a very exciting last week and a half. So,
I was gonna say, really quick, we don't need to pick if they make the playoffs or not. How many games do you think the Padres have win-wise at the end of the season? We're at 75 right now, and there's 9 left.
Let me look at their schedule. Because
I'll say 82.
82, dude, that'd be really freaking close. So they're at 75 right now. I think they take 3 from St. Louis. I think they lose 1 to the Giants. So I'm gonna say about 82.
Which will cause me to go into a downward spiral if they miss the playoffs by like 3 games, which that sounds like that would be the
because
case.
There were so many lesser teams that they lost the season series to.
Yeah.
Like Detroit and Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, man. Pittsburgh kills me. We won 1 game against the Pirates this year. Lovely.
To be honest, that's going to be the reason why you don't get in. So it's definitely a bummer. Everyone, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. as Chris just wants to just bang his head up against a wall, even though his team's on an awesome winning streak right now.
I just love that the last thing you said before like closing was that's a bummer. Well, you know, it just was like, yeah, no, that's Padre Baseball 2023. That's gonna be the slogan. That's a bummer.
Yeah, that is. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see y'all next time.